When did we invent?
LiDAR?
When did we invent this technology to be able to? And I know exactly what you're talking about. This is being recorded, by the
I
way.
know.
General Motors and Ford, and I guess all of them do. They got this thing out now to where you can look at a screen that shows the back of your vehicle.
Yeah.
And if you got a trailer,
it shows you.
It goes through. It can go through the trailer, and if there's a bicycle leaning against the trailer, it'll show the bicycle.
Yeah.
If there's a dog in back of your trailer, it'll show the dog. Sure. If there's a car parked back there, it'll show the car.
Sure.
So how can they do that?
It's real easy. Put a camera on the back of the trailer.
No.
Yes.
There's
a camera on the trailer. You're inside the truck looking at this little screen, but on the back of the trailer, there is a camera.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's built into the system to where it will eliminate that freaking trailer to where now you can actually see what's in behind that trailer without a camera attached to the trailer.
Yeah.
Yes, they have got technology that can see through the trailer.
How can you tell a little Bobby sitting in the car?
I don't know how it does it.
How can you see Bobby sitting in the car behind your trailer?
I don't know how.
Picking his nose.
I don't know how. I just know this. We do have technology out there that is beyond anything.
Oh, yeah, I know. And every day we're getting more of it. And you know what?
How do we stop this?
Who cares? Let it do what it's going to do. It's his plan. Let it work itself out. Who cares?
So you don't feel infuriated or intimidated by this artificial intelligence that's now coming into our lives that could very well rule our lives and become dominant in our lives?
I got to deal with current tiny brain intelligence. And I got to worry about something else? Forget it. Let's take one at a time.
I'm talking about something that actually sounds science fiction or supernatural, but in reality, it's actually reality. And it's just like the radar systems that now Jacques Cousteau and stuff like that can put in a submarine. Yeah. They're actually finding cities buried.
They still ain't found M370.
They're finding cities that is now touching off on the writings, the hieroglyphics on the wall of the Greek mythology that is no longer considered Greek mythology, but now it's considered the truth. Mm-hmm. In other words, it's changing from science fiction to science truth.
Everywhere where we've been for 5,000 years and then some. Who cares? Who cares? It ain't going to serve us in the future.
That's the future is all. Listen to me. That's how you discover your future, is understanding your past.
No. That was the old way of thinking. Look at the new way. What are we doing? People ain't even wanting to go to work nowadays.
Listen to me.
I'm listening to you, but I'm not hearing anything I want to hear.
Whenever Noah landed the ark.
Yeah. He got in his hover car afterwards and leave?
Bear with me. After they started multiplying, after one of the sons laughed at Noah's nakedness and he got turned black. That's where I truly believe that's where the black man come from.
Whatever.
And of course, if you'll generate that with the atmosphere that he was living in, towards the terrain and down in Africa, et cetera, it had an effect on his pigments in his skin.
Sure.
Just like the red man.
Sure.
Okay, but I'm fixing to go somewhere with the red man.
Good. Keep going.
This has got to do with the Big Eddie.
Big Eddie? What's a Big Eddie?
Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
Oh, Sasquatch. Yeah, he's an Aboriginal. I mean, he's an Aborigines. They've already been talking about him over there in Australia.
Really?
Yeah, they spotted him. A whole family of them.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think it's a whole bunch of Aborigines just dressed up all funky.
Well, this is what I think. I think that whenever the 12 tribes, Noah sent one tribe this way, sent that tribe this way, and that tribe that way, to basically remultiply the earth, right?
Sure.
Because God looked down upon the planet and he was so wicked that he said that I was ashamed that I even created man. And that's whenever he requested out of Noah to build me an ark.
Mm-hmm.
So through the generations, through that period,
The world become very wicked.
it did. But now I'm going to go before that.
No, we got to keep track.
No,
You
I'm
gotta
going to
go
go
before
I'm going to
God
go.
asked him to
I'm going to
build?
go before Noah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to go before Adam and Eve.
Sure.
I'm going to go to the prehistoric era, 50, 60,000 years ago, whenever there was dinosaurs.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go to...
Because Adam and Eve started before that.
No. Adam and Eve, we know for a fact that Adam and Eve goes only back to 6,000 years. There was Adam and Eve in Genesis. Then there was the flood. Then there was Moses. And then there was Jesus. 2,000-year intervals between all three. We're basically on the last leg. 6,000 years is what they claim historically out of the Bible.
That's what they claim.
But now we know for a fact that we can find artifacts, we can find bones, we can find prehistoric dinosaurs, we can find all that other stuff that's not documented in the Bible.
No, it wouldn't be.
But they know it existed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, according to Darwin's theory,
We came from monkeys.
man evolved, it come out of the sea, that turned into this, it turned into that, and turned into this over a period of hundreds of centuries, thousands of years. I believe that whenever either a volcano hit or a meteor hit the planet that put all the debris up into the atmosphere, that basically shut all the sunlight down, that created the Ice Age.
Sure.
I believe that there was a group of people that was smart enough, strong enough, that was survivalist, that lived pretty close to the equator in South America, that lived through it.
Sure.
They lived through it. And eventually they still multiplied over a period of thousands of years.
Yeah.
And this is where your Sphinx, this is where your, what do they call them? Cocopelis, there's other names for them down there, these tribal groups in South America. You remember some of the names?
Nope.
The Mayans, come on. What's wrong with you? The Mayans, I know you've heard about the Mayans. They are discovering, because of satellite equipment, the stuff that you just got through talking about, pertaining to being able to look through foliage.
Yeah, LiDAR.
What do you call it?
LiDAR.
All right. We are discovering primitive life that had to be primitive, that made all the artifacts and the drawings and the art and the
Cave drawings and whatever else.
Right.
Made tools and everything else. Yeah, yeah.
I got a theory in behind all this.
Yeah. What's that theory?
The theory is putting a rest to the missing link that scientists to this day still can't quite figure out. I think personally that they was such survivalists that they not only lived through the Ice Age, they not only lived through the Adam and Eve era that was on the other side of the planet. They know for a fact that life in that era started somewhere around Africa or somewhere around in the Middle East area.
Israel.
Okay. And that's whenever they started multiplying and dividing, okay, etc.
That's when the 12
all right.
went their ways.
I believe that they was good enough that they even survived the flood. They not only survived the Ice Age, but they survived the Great Flood.
Sure.
And I also believe that they migrated from way down in South America, which is what, 4,000 miles from here?
Make no difference.
And they started making boats, and they floated back up towards the great continent up here, and they migrated over in Alaska, and they went from Alaska to Canada, and they come down to Americas that at that time wasn't America. And the people that I'm talking about is the red man. I'm talking about the Native American, because the true Native American, that's full 100% Native American.
Yeah.
Their blood type is unlike any other blood type in the world. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think the Hopi Indians had that. They tested their blood recently, or within the last 20 years. And they said they have a higher Rh factor in their blood than anybody else.
Okay.
So
Once
they're derivative of.
Listen to my theory. Listen to my theory.
Go ahead.
Once the red man figured out that he was up against something like he had never been against before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're talking about a survivalist group of people that survived the Ice Age, survived the flood. They migrated, they evolved, they turned into what they turned into over here. And they was good, decent people. They built buildings and structures and they planted crops and they hunted and took care of their families, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Once they went up against the European man that come over here with the gunpowder,
mm-hmm.
which was a brand new technology.
Yeah, they lost.
They lost, baby.
Yeah.
They lost.
And you know who the European man was? Russians.
Come on.
No, serious. They were Russians, remember? 1800s. Back in the 1800s, they always had the Russians coming over to do fur trade, to go up into the mountains and do this and do that. Those are the motherfuckers that went over there to their country and that country and this country and made bad names for the white man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's in history.
They're very manipulative, ain't they?
Oh yeah.
They're clever, ain't they? When it comes to building, making stuff and designing stuff.
Oh no, they just made sure that when they came over here, they had enough money that they could throw around where they could make anybody do whatever they wanted.
But who created the gunpowder? That's the $64,000 question.
Chinese.
Okay. Somehow or another, it went from there to the Europeans, and the Europeans brought that over here, that technology over here at the time, and the red man couldn't compete with it.
No.
He couldn't compete with it.
Mm-mm.
That's whenever they started genociding them.
Mm-mm.
And they almost did.
Yeah.
And today, there's less than 30,000 people in America that's full-blooded 100% red man.
Mm-hmm.
Full-blooded Indian.
No, they're afraid of what they can't control. And if these people got a different Rh factor,
right.
No, man, they might live more than us. They might have a longer longevity than us.
They was smart enough as being survivalists.
Oh, yeah.
They identified that they wasn't going to be able to beat this thing called gunpowder, black powder. So,
yeah, but they weren't smart enough to get the hell out before.
That's right. They wasn't smart enough to do that. They got captured. We had Trail of Tears. We had the Wounded Knee. We had all the above pertaining to the Indian knowledge that we know, Indian history.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
But they were smart enough to identify that if their gene was going to survive,
mm-hmm.
they was going to have to mix match.
Oh, yeah.
And that's whenever the white man started dealing with the red man.
They started taking more white kids.
And that's whenever the mixture of the DNA started mixing. Yeah. But you know what it also done? It made their DNA survive.
Yeah.
Now their DNA survives in us. Even though I may not have a 10% Indian in me, or maybe even less than that.
Yeah, I think I got Blackfoot in me.
Well, they claim that you got to have a certain amount of blood type in you to even think about being registered as an Indian now.
Mm.
To be on, what do they call it, the Dawes list?
Yeah, something like that.
Uh-huh. And of course, once you get on that list,
you're there forever and you're guaranteed a check.
Guaranteed a check, and the government will give you a place to live.
Yeah.
They'll take care of you.
As long as you live on their what do you call that?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But anyways,
the government's little plot of land.
But anyways, I've got Cherokee in me, and I know I do.
Yeah.
Going back, but I also got a little bit of Italian.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got a little bit of Russian
mm-hmm.
because of the Europeans.
Sure.
And who's to say that I may end up having even some African? Because this is the melting pot of
the world.
Yeah. Right here.
Anybody
Irish, European, whatever.
Anybody who lived in a city, they will get more diversity of genes because of suitors and donators.
What's donators? What's that?
Fuck him.
Oh, we're recording this.
So?
Watch it.
It's the truth.
Well, don't say stuff like
Well, it's the truth. There'll be more and more diversity in a cities.
because of mix and mingle, because there's more people. I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I'm fixing to go somewhere with this theory
Okay.
that I don't think no one has never ever
Thought?
looked at in a theory. And of course, a theory is something that you can't actually prove.
No.
But I feel like that God gave me enough understanding about the historical facts towards putting this together, putting the puzzle together,
Yeah, and read between the lines.
reading between the lines, that there was at one time a Bigfoot.
Oh, of course there is.
At one time.
Yeah.
That was predominant, that had the features of a man-made structure. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, 10 toes.
8 or 10 foot tall, and
Right.
so forth and so on.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That once more survived from that gene that survived not only through the Ice Age, but survived through the Great Flood.
That'd be great until they get the DNA from.
I think that this thing, that what we're talking about, is part of that missing link.
Yeah.
That scientists have not been able to put it together, okay? And the fact, the fact of what I'm looking at, okay, listen to me. I'm a Bible thumper.
Yeah.
I do believe that Adam and Eve, that Adam was created from the breath of God that reached down into the dirt and breathed life into the dirt, just like the Bible talks about.
Right.
And I believe that Eve was taken from a rib out of Adam that made a companion.
Clone.
Right. I also believe that the serpent, that was considered one of the most craftiest beasts in the field, was not only real, but was so clever that it got around on his tail. Like a man, like a human being. And the reason why I believe that is because one of the curses, after God realized that there had to been, God had to design at that time, manufacture a thing called punishment.
Yep.
Up until that time, there wasn't no punishment.
There's no business.
Well, there wasn't no punishment.
Right.
Of course, the first punishment was whenever they had a dispute up in heaven and there was war in heaven.
Yeah.
That was the first punishment. But since then, the devil's been trying to prove himself towards being either equal or better than the Lord himself.
Yeah.
So you may be saying, well, where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? Because you're talking in circles. No, I'm not talking in circles. I'm bringing up hypotheticals so that you can understand that I believe in both. Yes, I believe in part of the Darwin theory that creature, that at one time was a creature, but it didn't have a soul, it didn't have a spirit, crawled out of the ocean and turned into the Amazon man, turned into the prehistoric whatever.
Cro-Magnon man.
You're right. But I also believe that Adam and Eve was created. I believe in the flood. I believe in Moses. I believe in Christ. But somewhere in between those barriers, in a period of about
500
20,
years.
no, I'm going back probably 5,000. No, I'm going back 25,000 years.
Yeah.
25,000 years.
That means actually nothing.
That means they crisscrossed.
Couldn't have.
Where did they crisscross at?
They couldn't have crisscrossed.
They crisscrossed. The full-blooded Native American man with a certain gene crisscrossed with the European man right here in the land of the free.
Maybe.
And the reason why I believe this is because it was so upsetting to them at the time. If you even got caught with a Indian girl,
Oh yeah.
you got blackballed and you was called a half-breed and you got degraded and demoralized like you ain't never seen before.
Almost like the Chinese, almost like the Americans did with all those Vietnamese babies.
That's right.
After Vietnam.
Or whenever the European man started bringing the black people over here, and then the black people started doing the same thing towards the melting pot.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
A lot of people are very, very sensitive whenever it comes to their true origin.
Yeah.
You know, you got the Aryan brothers out there.
Oh, they're very sensitive.
Oh, ain't they though?
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes them irritable to even
hear
see
anything of any gene splicing or anything like that, other than what they believe.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're very prejudiced in that perspective.
Oh.
But do you follow me pertaining to the crisscrossing? That pretty well covers, I believe, the lost the
12th tribe.
no, yeah, I believe in the 12 tribes, but I'm talking about the missing link.
I think the missing link was one of the 12 tribes.
No,
Hmm?
it was part of the 12 tribes.
That's what I just said.
But the other missing link was whenever they evolved from prehistoric days, even though they didn't necessarily have a spirit, but they did eventually evolve into the fact that they started believing in the Creator, because the Native American man over here in America was a 100% believing in the Great Spirit.
In their great spirit.
In the Great Spirit.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, whenever I was in East Tennessee, I don't know if I've told you this or not, over by Cherokee Forest.
Anything you're going to learn from any of these Indians or any of these tribes in a past 500 to 2,000 years is all bullshit.
No.
A lot of it is.
No. Whenever I was locked up in MCC in Chicago, they had a library in there.
Yeah.
And I loved it. You know why? Because they had a whole venue of nothing but Native American Indian history. And I sat down there and I started reading stuff and looking at stuff that I had no earthly idea existed. What it is, the European man wants to keep you away from that history. They don't feel like that it's important enough to teach you that history. So you actually got to go looking for that history. You got to dig for that history if you're going to find out what really went on with the red man.
Sure. But it's almost like those...
But it's almost like the fact of the black man, because if you really want to find the history out in the black people, you got to hunt that history down.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they got prototypes pertaining to Martin Luther King and other known black people that stood out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it was forced into the European arena, not by choice, but because of will.
Yeah.
In other words, Martin Luther King was so known, he was so powerful, there was no way that this man was just going to die and just leave and go away.
No way. No, Martin Luther King, he did a great many things for the black man.
Well, not only him, but I mean, there was a lot of black, even during various wars, the black man done a lot of things. But so did the red man. You know, it was only the red man that was considered a code breaker.
Yeah.
That actually helped win World War II.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had any part of World War One, but I do know they had a big part in World War II towards breaking down various communications.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't bring in the black squadrons of pilots until Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah. World War One.
But now there was some black. No, there was some black Union during the Civil War.
Civil War.
That was in the military.
Yeah, but we're talking World War. You know, something that takes us out of the country.
Right. Like we could be brewing into pertaining to what's going on right now with the Ukrainians and the
Yeah, but
Russians.
I don't think we'll be going over there at all.
You know,
Nah.
what if it escalates?
Yeah, we ain't gonna have to worry about going over there.
Well, you got Germany, you got Poland, you got all those other countries that surround that right there.
How
And
many
they've
of them-
already done taken a bad lick during World War II. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you had an idiot that was on the loose over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they're not gonna have a repeat of that. They already got one that poisoned the country with that Chernobyl, and they're gonna make sure that it ain't gonna happen again. I do see an uprising over there happening.
From the inside.
Oh yeah, have to be from.
It's
the inside, 'cause
basically
that's
like
what-
it's
that's what-
basically like a civil war happening over there in Russia.
That's how they did it in what was it? Colombia. They had talked to their military, and they had a consensus. Okay, you know what? This commander says this. This commander says that. Well, he don't say the same thing that the leader says. Well, you know what? Don't worry. During his election, we're going to plan a coup. And
Right.
we're going to come in, we're going to 86 him, and we're going to put our own people in.
Right.
That's what they're going to do.
Right.
Or at least I believe that's what's going to happen in Russia.
In other words, he'll be taken out from the inside
Oh,
out.
yeah. Yeah, his own people's going to get rid of him because he's just, he's pushing buttons at wrong time in life.
Well, if you take under consideration, why is Russia so upset because of what occurred not only in 1989 but in 1991, whenever they had to basically foreclose on their identity and supposedly kill out the USSR and create the Federation. I mean, you had the falling of the Berlin Wall in 1989 that Ronald Reagan helped to produce, pertaining to the agreements and the treaties that were signed, and then they went bankrupt.
Yeah,
they went bankrupt.
Well, sure, because Gorbachev stole him blind. Stole him blind, put it away into what was it?
The one that had the mark on top of his head.
Yeah, big fucking shit spot. Yeah, it was Gorbachev.
The birthmark.
Yeah. Yeah, big wine mark on his forehead.
Yeah, people thought it was part of the Antichrist.
Yeah, Gorbachev. He stole the country blind, put money off into the Cayman Islands, into private accounts.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's he at now?
He's gone. He's dead.
Oh, he is?
Oh, yeah.
How about his family? Where all his assets go?
Most of them got killed off in a coup.
They did?
Huh? Gorbachev was poisoned. You remember him getting poisoned?
I do.
And him being in display in the big church there?
Right.
Yeah. Well, they did the family the same way afterwards.
So the president or the leader
of that country
took that occult
took all
before
that information to the grave with him.
Before Gorbachev was the one that said that we would take the American people over and never fire a shot. That goes back, and I didn't know this, towards putting the dots together, that goes back to them merging over into the European countries.
Okay.
And now they've come over here to America to contaminate this over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do mean that respectfully towards contaminating us, because obviously they must have a very, very wicked, cruel gene. And I ain't talking about necessarily the Russian people in general, but I'm talking about their disposition. I'm talking about their DNA. I'm talking about what has driven them all these years, because they got a lot of history over there.
Yeah,
and if you really get to looking, guess what? Ukraine was the core of where Russia actually started.
I know. Kiev was the core, because that's why they put the nuclear facility there, because that was the biggest city at that point in time.
So it's all kind of making sense now, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Not only about the missing link, but also about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, with the DNA that lived through down towards the Mayans in South America, pertaining to the equator. And it's all kind of fitting in together, pertaining to the missing link with the red man mixing with the European man, that basically has made us, I think, so freaking crazy over here, because the gene pool.
It's so diverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was almost like mixing the gene pool to where you had
Heinz 57 sauce.
What do they call that?
Heinz 57 sauce.
No, they
got a little bit of Mod Podge of everything.
They got another word for it.
Mutt.
No, there's another word. Professional word.
Diverse genealogy?
No. World's sister has sex with her brother.
Oh, incest.
Incest. It's almost like incest, with the gene pool not matching.
Yeah.
But it does something else. The gene pool, and I guarantee you science probably already knows this.
Maybe.
Pertaining to the red man mixing with the white man, that was considered at that time half-breeds.
Yeah.
That has made us as crazy as what a lot of people are over here. And I've always said that about my father. Something had to happen to him towards the gene pool not matching, because basically whenever he turned his back on the Lord, he knew that he was not a drinking man. So he didn't drink. Okay? But he also knew he had a hot temper.
Yeah.
And we have seen his blue eyes turn bright red, knowing good and well that whenever he fell into a rage,
Yeah, he was gone.
oh, he flipped a freaking switch and he was liable to kill you.
That one there.
Same thing.
Oh, yeah, same thing. I go to the bathroom real quick.
Hey, man, I appreciate you talking to me.
Oh, no problem. Give me a second.
All right, cool beans. So this will pretty well end then in which what we was talking about. But there's so much knowledge out there that certain people want to either hide or they want to charge people for towards them not having this knowledge. Or if someone like me comes along that's giving the knowledge out, they automatically want to point their finger at me and say, oh, no, his theories is all off. He's a whack job. He don't know what he's doing. He's a half a bubble out of plumb. His elevator don't go all the way to the top. He's a kook. He's a kook. So if they can convince people that I'm a kook, not only will I be effective in the Windmill Ministries ministry, but they can maintain that knowledge, use it for their own benefit, towards selling it and making money off of it. That was the main reason why that Christ, whenever Christ come, he spoke in parables.
Sure.
He spoke in codes, okay? And unless you have been trained, taught, and discerned by the Holy Spirit, towards the Holy Spirit teaching you how to interpret and translate and decipher the Bible correctly, well, you're liable to believe anything that the man before you believed, and he's liable to be so blind that he don't even have no clue towards what the Bible was talking about at the time that it was talking about it.
Right.
It's a lot there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it says in the Bible that God kept them blinded of the truth because they was wicked, because he kept it away from the wise and the prudent. I don't know what the word prudent means.
Prudent?
Yeah, prudent. The wise and the prudent. The wise and the prudent. What is a prudent? Is it something evil? Something that wants to use something for his own benefit?
Got me on that one. No, I never heard that term.
It's a Bible terminology.
Yeah, never heard of it.
You'd have to look it up.
Google have to give you the terminology on that one.
But there's so much stuff that we don't know that now, because of the internet and because of social media platform,
Yeah, we're learning.
we're growing,
So,
we're evolving. Hey,
yep.
we're finally evolving. But some of us don't want to evolve. Some of us don't want to do no better for ourselves.
Man,
Some of us have made up our minds. I'm not going to study. I'm not going to learn. I no longer want to know anything else than what I've already learned. I'm at the point that I'm living out my golden years, and who could care less about our children and their children's children's future?
Oh, yeah, no.
That's called a stagnation.
Yeah.
You know who has caused this stagnation over here in America? Our politicians, our long...
That have tied our hands
long-
on disciplining our kids.
That's right. Our long career criminals
Yeah.
that have gotten in their positions for 25, 30, some of them even 40 years, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And you know good and well that they have to be behind times.
Oh, yeah. They are.
And that is what has dragged all of us down.
Sure, because they're detached from reality. That little world that they live in, they go into the office. This one sats over there, that one sats over there, and every day, same
But
thing.
their characteristics is still based around whenever they first put their foot in the political realm, and since then they hadn't studied and evolved.
No.
Just like a lot of your judges and attorneys.
No, the only studying and evolving they've done is course cases.
But what I'm saying is, just like your judges and your attorneys, half of them don't know the laws. You know why? Because after they become a lawyer or a judge, they feel like that, hey, well, why learn anymore? Why study anymore?
I know it all.
Right.
Yeah, they get their head up their ass.
Right. And now they become what?
Nothing.
Obsolete.
Yeah, nothing.
Obsolete. And as far as I'm concerned, probably 2/3 of our political people
Could be ousted And we
need to be ousted.
And still
Need to be ousted. You take somebody like Mike Wilson that's been elected 9 different times here in Wheaton County, the longest licensed sheriff that the state of Tennessee has ever had.
Your buddy's running. Take that position.
Oh, Mr. Coble?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see signs all the time with him around.
Yep.
Yeah, what does that mean?
He just wants to be local sheriff.
Well, you know, at one time he used to be a deputy over here.
I know.
And then he wound up quitting because I think there was a disagreement somewhere.
No, that person ain't there no more.
Well, what I'm saying is he claimed that he went to Union City working for the city of Union City because they paid more money, which they may have had. But I bet you he had found out some dirt on what was going on, how it was going on, and he disagreed with it. And because he disagreed with it, they was making life hard on him working for the force over here in Weakley County. I'm telling you, there's some dirty freaking people.
Well, if they feel that you ain't.
There's some dirty people.
If they feel if you ain't put the work in, you don't deserve the job. So if you don't put the work in, and deal with the lumps that they throw at you to see how you cope with it,
right?
Then they ain't gonna get behind you. And if they don't get behind you, you fucked.
And
you know that better.
Well, don't say stuff like that. I'm still recording this, okay?
Okay.
But whenever you say they,
being the powers that be.
Being who?
The powers that be.
You're talking about like Mr. Alexander. You're talking about like the people that own the business in Greenfield. You're talking about some of the power players like big farmers that's worth several $1 million in the area. Or maybe you're talking about something even deeper pertaining to
government.
The Masons.
Who knows? Who knows how deep it goes?
The Masons.
Only they know.
The Masons.
No, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that the Masons run everything down here.
That's right. They're the eyes and the ears.
If you're not a Mason, don't expect to get elected.
I would say that.
Yeah, I would.
I would say that Mr. Coble's only spinning his wheels if he hadn't created some very, very close-knit friends that either are Masons or he himself has become a Mason.
Or he's got dirt on him. On the people that be, on the powers that be. The ones that say yay or nay, he gets a position.
Well,
because you got to go through the committee first.
That may be true in theory, okay. But at the same time, you got to realize that these people are so dirty and wicked.
Yeah.
They liable to do you like they done Buford Pulser. You liable to wind up with your automobile down by the Obion River somewhere on fire, and you liable to wind up being in it intentionally.
Maybe, but at least he'd be elected into office.
But what I'm saying is, if you don't get the approval by the powers at bay,
don't know. But if he gets elected into office, the powers at bay ain't that strong apparently.
Well, either that, or he has,
or at least
made the right connections, or he has touched off on the right people to be able to get that door kicked open, where he can walk on in and become an elected official.
We'll see.
I knew his father. I knew his uncles. I knew the whole Coble bunch. I was raised up around Tom Coble down there in Obion County that had.
I don't know if this is
4 or 5 girls.
I don't know if that was his mother or if it was his aunt, Helen Coble.
Yeah,
his mama.
Right.
Yeah, well, I knew her really good. That fucking loudmouth woman. Yeah, she's a quirker.
Well, that was part of that bunch pertaining to the Feeneys, wasn't it?
Huh?
The Feeneys?
I have no idea about any of them.
Pertaining to Tiny Sue?
Yeah.
I know you know Tiny Sue.
Oh, yeah, that was my aunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, she come in on the Feeney side, didn't she?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, those that married into the Morgans over here, you said that they come off the stem of where?
Davis's.
Which come off the stem of what?
The
one that owned the factory over here in Sharon?
Box. Davis.
Right.
Morgan. That's all in chronological order in reverse. They were Morgans first, then Davis.
Okay.
And then Box.
Isn't it amazing how that...
It's all based on females.
Well, I was going to use the word interbreeding.
It's all based on
But
females
you know
and-
what interbreeding actually is.
Oh yeah.
Um,
There was a lot of that down here.
well, you don't have to brag about it.
I ain't bragging about it one bit.
But, you know, how come was it that my grandfather that owned the pen store, that built the pen store, my great-grandfather,
Yeah.
that took on the career at one time, other than being a store merchant, supplying goods to the community, and his wife being a home wife, a nurse, home nurse, towards getting out here delivering babies. How come is it that he got
You mean a midwife?
involved? Yeah, midwife.
Yeah.
How come was it that he got involved in the political affairs towards working for the state of Tennessee that went around basically judging people and putting them to death by hanging them at the time, because at that time it was acceptable,
Oh yeah.
and that's how the program was being run.
Sure.
But then whenever the 1929 crashed,
Hmm.
the people that went broke caused him to go broke.
Mhm.
But then his son,
Mhm.
which would be my grandfather, which would be my father's father,
Dad. Yeah.
he didn't want to get involved in political affairs.
Me
Especially after he went up to Chicago,
Yeah.
right after the Al Capone era, during the 30s. And he got to looking around and seeing how
shit was being done there.
oh man, what are you talking about? I don't think he wanted a taste of it. Whenever he come back, he decided to be an old Southern farmer, and that was it.
Sure.
But some of the brothers from Jeff Jackson
Yeah.
merged, had children, had more children, and now one of them is over here in Union City, Jeff Jackson, that works for the TVI.
Well, that's good.
Plus, I got a cousin, which would be a distant cousin, that married into my mother's side, on the Jordan side, that is a prosecuting attorney down in Jackson, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got political figures in political parties in different areas that makes me wonder, going all the way back to 1983, whenever I went to Kenton, Tennessee, and I went to the law there towards seeking some sort of help because my life had been threatened.
Right.
And Damian Cross, that is dead now, was kin to us off of my mother's side, the Jordans,
Mhm.
that basically declared me crazy because I was talking about the Antichrist, the Mark of the Beast, the New World Order,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Devil's Doomsday Devil's Duel.
Yeah.
I was talking about all these things that he didn't understand. And if the truth be known, the person that actually should have went to a psychiatric ward towards being studied should have been my biological father, because he's the one that sure enough had the problem towards his dark blue, bright blue eyes turning red whenever he got angry and couldn't control his anger
Yeah.
issues.
How he used to beat the kids.
Yeah. So this thing got created in my life going all the way back to the 80s. But listen to me.
Yeah.
I think it even goes further than that. Because whenever my mother and father had moved from Round Lake, Illinois, and they moved up into the Antioch district, we moved into an old farmhouse that had a cellar in it that Al Capone used to reside in.
Yeah.
There was a big milk barn and two big silos and a huge freaking barn. How come was it that I almost died at the age of 2 weeks, that I almost died at the age of 4 towards sticking keys into an electrical socket that caused the fuse box to blow up, that actually caught the house on fire, but Mama was there that day and she put it out before it got too intense. I walked around with the impression of keys in my hand, being at the age of 3 or 4, and the taste of copper in my mouth for over a month. Raw copper.
Yeah.
How come she was granted permission from the supernatural of having a premonition that went beyond a premonition to the point that the Lord literally come and visited her? She said it sounded like an earthquake or a train that the house actually jerked her a little bit, and all of a sudden she seen this large light come through the wall.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the light kept getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and she stood to her feet and realized it was the Lord, and she submitted her heart and life back over to Christ, because at that time she wasn't walking with the Lord. Went to a Baptist church, got saved. I remember that afternoon we had a house full of people, probably 15 cars, and around our house, that I had no earthly idea who these people was. It was all strangers. So we started going to church. She got baptized, and et cetera, et cetera. And about a year and a half later, we wound up moving from there and coming down to Tennessee. I'm fixing to make a point here.
Good.
I believe that I was stalked.
Dude, since birth, you've been stalked.
And I believe those same spirits that was wondering about me, of how come my life got spared at the age of 2 weeks, how come my life got spared at the age of 4, and how come the premonition come to my mother. Because my mother always thought that one of her sons was going to be a preacher, and she always thought it was my younger brother. But it was me. I was the one in the backyard preaching to the chickens and reading out of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It was me that was taking on that type of anointing.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that those evil demonic spirits that was curious
still haunt you.
Well, they're still watching me.
Oh yeah.
I'm still under surveillance.
Sure.
Like I was telling you a while ago, in the corner of my eye, occasionally I'll see something.
Yeah.
And I know that it's
what it is.
Well, it's almost like an image of something. Almost like an image. And then as soon as I turn to look, it disappears.
Sure.
I know that they're watching me. I know that they're listening to me.
I'm sure they are.
Well, you know,
especially on the phone or anything.
Well, you know who else did?
Who?
Other than Jesus Christ?
Who?
All of the anointed prophets. A matter of fact, that's one reason why I put a lot of faith in Nostradamus.
Yeah.
Is because there was a reason why that Nostradamus wrote his letters in quatrains. Because at that time, if he would have got caught with the Bible, or if he would have got caught writing things about the Bible,
it would be heresy.
That would be heresy. That's the reason why he wrote in code.
Yeah.
That's the reason why today they still have trouble translating his quatrains, because he was so in tune with the spirit world that he knew that his life could possibly
be in jeopardy if he phrased it that way or phrased it this way.
Yes, or if he got caught with that material and they figured out that this had something to, because at that time, you know how they declared religious people? At that time, during the 1400s, whenever Nostradamus come into it, well, they considered it black magic.
Sure.
Just like the witches.
Well, that was during the time of the not the Crusades, but
the Catholic Church was expanding.
The Catholic Church was having a conniption breakdown.
Well, that's whenever Martin Luther broke away.
No.
Yeah, it was Martin Luther. Martin Luther, and today you got the Lutheran Church that come off the heading of Martin Luther, because they actually got after him, and he thought that he was going to be executed because he was no longer associated with the Catholic Church. Is the Catholic Church that powerful?
Yeah.
My son says that the Catholic Church are the ones that's in control of all the money,
Banks.
Huh?
They run all the banks.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
Even the banks in other countries?
Yeah. They got an interest in a lot of them.
So let me ask you this. Whenever we defeated the Redcoats during the era of King George III pertaining to London, did we actually defeat them, or did we actually partner up with them?
We partnered up with them. That's why our flags changed.
Not only did our flags change, but to this day, they're still in control of massive amount of property up towards Maine, over towards Alaska, islands, down towards the Panama Canal. I mean, these people got to say so in the world, baby.
They can own property anywhere they want. If they got the money to buy it, they buy it.
So let me ask you this: are they Catholic? Is the Queen Catholic
No.
of today? You know, they had a
The
fallout.
Danes?
They had a fallout,
Yeah.
and it was over what?
Religion.
No.
Oh, they had a fallout because Prince Charles
That's it.
just infected Mama.
Prejudice.
No. Prince Charles has Corbin. He just infected the Queen. That's why she disassociated him. She has Corbin.
But the son and the
Prince Charles.
and the son's wife, they dissipated themselves away from
Grandson.
yes.
And grandson and granddaughter.
And granddaughter. Why?
Because they want to get out of that limelight bullshit that they had to deal with over there in England, so they came to America.
But whenever we was talking about Aryanism, pertaining to the white race,
Sure.
that still exists over there.
No, it can't.
It does.
I know it does, but she's half nigger. She's half nigger.
Well, don't say the N-word, man. Come on, we're recording this.
She's half black.
Well, she may be, but that don't mean she's sorry. You know, the word, the
Did
N-word
you-
means somebody that's a sorry human being that won't even work for his family or won't take care of his family. That's what the N-word means. And you can be just as much an N-word on a white person or a black person or a red person or a yellow person than you are any other person.
I agree. Yeah, she
So that's where
segregation.
that's where the separation started right there.
Yeah, because they didn't want to have to deal with that over and over again. Plus, the Queen Mother, she asked. She says, "What if the baby comes out black?" She's worried. The Queen was so worried that the baby would come out black.
So does that not speak volumes about them people over there?
Yeah.
That to this day are
Well, their image
prejudiced?
means everything.
Huh?
To them, image means everything, and it always has.
Really?
They have to keep a certain prestige above everybody else.
Why?
I don't know why. It ain't my problem. Not my department.
They want to be looked up to.
No.
They want to be admired.
Who cares? They just want to be in control.
They're control freaks. Which leads me to the last thing that I want to ask you about.
Shoot.
Pertaining to not Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump in a way. You know, whenever this thing first unveiled itself pertaining to Putin over there, one of the first things Donald Trump said was, I think they're a genius. I think he's a genius in what he's doing. Basically idolized him. All of a sudden, it made it publicly known.
Sure. He sat down with Putin how many times before during his administration? 3-4 times before even any of this Ukraine came out.
Well, wasn't it in Donald Trump's administration where they wanted to break away from the UN?
Yeah, they've been wanting to, because Russia don't want the Ukraine to sign with NATO.
Exactly, and
Because if they do, then they'll become a superpower eventually, and they don't want that.
Well,
because
that's what they was using as an excuse on the front end.
Because
whenever the war actually broke out,
Yeah.
Putin made a speech.
Yeah.
And he didn't just stop at that. Mm-hmm. He went as far as going 30 plus years ago, whenever the regime fell.
Yeah.
Of the falling of the Berlin Wall,
Right.
and then the 1991 collapse of the USSR,
and the meltdown.
that he felt like, and all the other oligarchs with him feels like, that they got shortchanged.
Oh, yeah.
They got cheated. So that's what this big hullabaloo that's going on right now in the Ukraine is really and truly all about. It's not about NATO. It's not about NATO. Yes, it's about money.
That's right.
And I guarantee you, since COVID has hit, it's put a strain on all of them, man.
All those oligarchs.
Yes, sir.
Right now they're investing in all kinds of things that if this war goes into effect, it's going to drive the prices up. That's right now they're investing into it, because they're going to try to get this as far as they can and then cash out. This way they'll make back what they lost.
Well, who was their leader before Gorbachev? Once more, let's go back to the core of this conversation that made the statement, we're going to take America over and never fire a shot. You can't tell me that this hadn't been an inside job from the get-go.
That was
way before
that was Mr.
Gorbachev
That
and
was
way
Mr.
before the
Mustache.
Berlin Wall ever fell.
That was Mr. Mustache.
Leningrad?
Nope. Keep going. Got a city named after him.
No way.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm blank.
Black hair, black mustache.
I got the picture, but I'm blank on the name.
Mussolini.
Mussolini.
Yeah.
He was the one that was freaking
Before Hitler.
World War One.
Yeah.
We're talking about who?
That's where it all started. Mussolini.
It was, wasn't it?
Hmm? Got there. He's got a big old statue right in Red Square.
Well, there was talk that Hitler was a form or a type of an antichrist
Mm-hmm.
that Nostradamus talked about, and the power figure before him that was considered corrupt or evil was the guy that always kept his hand in his pants. What was his name?
Gorbachev.
No. Way before him.
You mean before Mussolini?
Yes.
Oh, you mean the one that kept his hand in his vest?
Yes. What was his name?
Oh, that was oh shit. He was a little fucker.
We're recording
Napoleon.
this. Yes, Napoleon.
Yeah, Napoleon.
All right.
Bonaparte.
All right, let me ask you a question. Where did Napoleon come from? Because I'm not that good with my history.
He was European. He was over there from Rome.
He was.
Yeah.
And he dominated that whole region, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why they hated him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a reason why that he's looked upon to this day as being a form of the Antichrist.
Nah, I don't know about that.
That's what they claim.
No, I don't care what they claim.
That's what they claim.
They ain't got nothing.
Well, let's go back to what Nostradamus said.
Okay.
Nostradamus said that there would be 3 look-alike type antichrists that would rise before the actual Antichrist rose.
I'm happy for him. But you know what?
So-
I ain't seen a single one yet.
So who is this third look-alike type Antichrist?
I don't know.
Is it going to be Hitler? Is it going to be Putin? Or is it going to be somebody that's going to merge out of Saudi Arabia?
No. I'm thinking more something like out of Saudi Arabia. Because they've been financing war
And terrorism.
for years.
And terrorism.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And it ain't nothing uncommon for them to blow a school up or a wedding or a funeral
Kill a million people ain't no big deal.
Right. And if this thing winds up getting out of hand, that's going on right now over in the Ukraine, and does merge into the NATO surrounding
Yeah, but
countries.
that's what's going to drag us into it. Because we'll have to
Well,
go and help our ally
Well,
out.
not only that, but let's say our fuel prices did go to $7 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
Would that not pretty well knock us? Would that not knock us? That would knock us out at the knees, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that'd knock our in the dirt.
But there was one other thing I thought about. Whenever fuel went to $5 and $6 a gallon, went over to $4 and $5 right here in this area.
Yep.
During the bubble,
when I got here.
during the bubble burst,
Hmm?
which was in 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that's when it started.
Because I was out there on the roads. I knew how much money that I was engaging
I
in.
was in Chicago at that time.
Okay. We've seen intervals of high prices like on bread a little bit or milk a little bit.
Yeah.
So what's driving the prices today?
Sure.
What's driving everybody and their brother taking advantage of the
People.
general public
People.
and jabbing
People.
the consumer?
People.
The consumer is taking it up the rear end right now. Why is this? But yet, no, they claim if there's a crisis, and you have to admit that we're in the middle of a crisis pertaining to COVID, how come they claim that you can't go to Florida and sell a bag of ice for $20 a bag after a hurricane comes through? That's considered price gouging. But yet, no, Walmart and all these other people can take advantage of us towards raising the prices. Is that not price gouging? Is that not taking advantage of the consumer? And you wait, if gasoline was to go to $7 and $8 a gallon, oh my God, you think you're seeing prices now?
Yeah, right. They think they've seen people. They think they've seen people go.
You know what I think
before.
they're? You know what I think they're trying to do? I think that they're purposely driving the middle class and the poor class down into the dirt.
Yeah,
Down into the dirt.
sure.
And I think this too, that it may be very well possible that the bigwigs pertaining to the Illuminatis, the Halliburtons, the Fortune 500s, the richest of the rich, that they basically gave Putin a green light.
Oh, sure.
They gave him a green light and said, go for it.
Drive them prices up, man.
Go for it, man.
We'll take care of you in the end.
Why? What was the basic principle in behind that?
Money. It's always
Money. Money's part of it. Okay,
Money.
money's part of it. But
Money
what's
and
the
power.
power? Now you're getting down to the bottom of the barrel,
Money and
man.
power.
That's right. In other words, they know because COVID has hit, it has put a strain on so many different government systems. Do you have any idea what this government right now would be like if they didn't prop people up with all those stimulus checks?
We'd be tearing the government up.
It'd probably be civil war right now.
Yeah.
Here in America, if
Oh,
they
yeah.
didn't do that.
Yeah.
Well, all these other countries didn't do that.
No, they didn't.
But it still put a strain. It still put a strain on their industry or on their corporation.
Later.
Huh?
Hello. Hello.
Another salesman.
Speaking. How can I help you?
Well, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for listening, and good luck to all of us, and shalom.